Hey, what's up, Roxstars? It's Rox. Welcome back to the channel. All right. This is going to be a two-part video. I'm just letting you guys know right now. I don't know if Top of the Blogs will be two parts, but let's talk about it. Will for sure be two parts. And this first part will all be about the occupation that happened yesterday at the United States Capitol. Okay, that's all we talking about on this one. Let's talk about it. All right, you guys, so it was a lot that went down yesterday. I thought that I would just be talking to you guys about the elections here in Georgia, which we will talk about in the second part of this video. But this video today is just going to be about the bullshit, the fool of fucking niggotry at its finest that went down at the Capitol last night. Well, yesterday. So remember last week when I was talking to you when I was talking to you guys in the Let's Talk About It video, and I mentioned that on January 6th, the Congress would be meeting to confirm the Electoral College votes, confirmation of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. This is the last, what we thought was a formality, where the states are usually in agreement with what the voters said, and it's a confirmation, and we move on to the inauguration, and we get on to the business of governing the United States of America. Okay, but we know that, or at least we knew back then, January 6th, I knew that it was going to be something, because YSAP has been, you guys know that he's been endlessly shouting from any and every rafter to any and everybody who will listen that the election was stolen from him. And I told you guys last week that he had tweeted an ominous tweet that said, "See you January 6th." Back then when I told you guys about it, I thought that it was because he felt that Mike Pence was going to go against what the people of the United States, the majority of the people of the United States had said, which was that Joe and Kamala had won. Okay. And I told you guys last week that I didn't see Mike Pence doing something like that. I know many of you were in my comments still saying that he would. And, there were, anyway, I didn't see Mike Pence going against the Constitution. So that was all that I was thinking what was going to happen with January 6th, along with YSAP maybe pulling some sort of stunt, maybe getting up and saying something to the press. But, that was the extent. That's how far I thought it would go. But then I also have to remember that he is wildly out of his mind. He is a narcissist. He is so focused and obsessed with the losing of this election, the stealing of the election, let him tell it, that he really can't focus on anything else. So we really should have known, if we really looked into the depths of the madman mind that he has right now, that it probably could go further. Yeah. So anyway, as the time went on, like I said, the United States was preparing for this Senate election runoff here in Georgia. And, we watched 2 nights ago for the election. It was election night, and looked at the numbers, and, long story short, congratulations to Warnock and Ossoff. Okay. But again, we'll talk about them later. Okay. But that's what our minds was focused on. Okay. The victory of the Democratic win here in Georgia, flipping the state blue. Well, on January 6th, on the heels of that, we already knew that there was some, there were some feelings about the course of history being changed, at least for the next couple of years, as the power in the Senate has shifted. But YSAP still had on his mind January 6th being the confirmation of these Electoral College votes. So Mike Pence had already said a couple of days before that he does not have the power to overturn the election. All right. He's not even able to do that, when you look at the Constitution of the United States of America. But, he was still trying to figure out a way, I guess, that he could go along with YSAP. But you guys know that anytime you go against YSAP, we've seen it countless times. I'm sure Mike Pence knew that it was coming. But the minute that he said that he couldn't overturn the election, I already knew that he was on YSAP shit list after that. I was just like, oh yeah, he's done with you too. Okay. But YSAP still couldn't 100% go against Pence because he was just hoping that Pence would, quote unquote, do the right thing. Okay, so as the days led up to January 6th, you know, he would get out and he would say things like, you know, the people of America are upset. The people of America are mad. You know, they want a fair election. You know, they want to redo the whole thing, basically. I was just like, see, this is a motherfucker that ain't never been to school, don't know shit like basic history. Do you really think that the election is going to be redone because you were a fucking sore loser? Like, what? You know, it's like he doesn't realize that these things are so firmly planted, the Constitution, these things you can't change. All right. But oh no, YSAP just says, you know what, it could easily be done. You know, the people want it. The people of Georgia are mad. That's what he said. The people of Georgia are mad that, you know, the state flipped blue. I said, well, probably some of the people of Georgia are mad, but the majority, at least the majority of the people who voted, are perfectly fine with the results, you know? So yeah, as we led up to January 6th, YSAP was kind of trying to put the pressure on Pence to overturn these electoral college votes. And he just kept on saying that. So we get to January 6th. We see them all go into the, you know, onto the floor so that they can get on with the business of confirming these votes, right? And the way that it's done in order, A to Z, okay? And they start with the first state in the country that starts with an A. So anyway, we had already heard also that there were 13 senators and some people from the House of Representatives who were going to contest the confirmation, the confirmed votes from the individual states. You already know 13 people out of, you know, that is not enough to make any kind of fuss, but it was pretty much noted that the people that were putting on this charade of all of a sudden supporting YSAP and believing that, you know, the election was stolen and that it was fraudulent and, you know, that they needed to make some, you know, get a closer look at this. Most of those people have hopes to be running for president in 4 more years. Okay, so this was more of a political staging of where they stand, hoping to get some of these YSAP supporters that may kind of feel like YSAP is, I mean, you know, we don't know if he's going to run. I mean, I have a feeling he's going to run again if he's not in jail or something. To me, the man has gone crazy. But, you know, I think that they were hoping that they could get some of these YSAP supporters to support them so that they can, when they run the race, you know, they'll have them already in their back pocket. We had some known names that were surprising. Ted Cruz being one of them, the senator in Texas who talked so badly about YSAP before he was elected, called him a joke, and, you know, many of these things. I mean, YSAP talked so bad about his wife, called her ugly, you know, talked so bad about his father, said the father was, you know, kind of made it seem like he had something to do with Kennedy being killed and knowing Oswald. I mean, he made up so many crazy things about Ted Cruz and his family. I don't understand how, for the life of me, that Ted Cruz can even fix his mouth to be in support of anything that YSAP does. But see, this is the whole thing. That power, when you really want it, you kind of willing to do whatever. You are willing to sacrifice. And in this case, it's his wife and his father. I'm thinking to myself, like, if I was his wife, I would be so pissed with the fact that you have aligned yourself with this devil, this man who talked so bad. Like I don't have any respect for Ted Cruz. None. Okay, he was going to be contesting the votes in Arizona. Like I said, there was a list of other senators who were going to be, you know what, I'm going to get the names for you. Hold on one second. Because these names are, these people we need to remember. When this is all said and done, folks need to remember that these people were willing to continue to push this false agenda and this lie that the election was stolen and it was fraudulent and all of that, we need to remember them, because they need to not never be, in office again. So let me get the names. Okay, you guys, I'm sorry, it wasn't 13, it was 11. Okay, and the names, these are senators, Republican senators, from the GOP, who opposed the results from the votes for, different states. Those names are Senators Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, James Lankford from Oklahoma, Steve Daines from Montana, John Neely Kennedy from Louisiana, Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, Mike Braun from Indiana, along with Senator-elects Cynthia Loomis from Wyoming, Roger Marshall from Kansas, Bill Haggerty from Tennessee, and Tommy Tuberville from Alabama. Okay, they joined along with Ted Cruz, and Josh Hawley actually had already said that he was going to do it. So I guess it's 12 people. I'm sorry, I'm giving you guys all these names. But anyway, those were the original people who said that they were going to contest or object to the confirmation of those votes. All right. Like I said, there were some other people from the House of Representatives, but we're talking about just the senators right now. So once we all got in onto the floor and they started the process of confirming these votes, we were at Arizona. Okay. While they're discussing Arizona and who's yaying and naying for Arizona and the reasons why they felt that it was or was not legitimate, right down the street, YSAP was holding a conversation with his followers, with his supporters, okay, his MAGA people. They were out, some thousands of people were out on the lawn, and he spoke to them and said that, amongst other things, they were going to walk down to the state capitol, and they would peacefully, protest, that he was going to be ahead of them. He was going to be right along with them, but, you have to be strong. You have to show strength, okay, when we are taking back, America. You can't show weakness, all right? And, to me, YSAP he has a way of conversing with his followers that they're able to pick up on cues and things that he wants them to do without him coming right out and saying it. It's obvious, okay? When he said, "See you January 6th," it was clear that he was rallying his people, okay? When he is talking to these groups of people and he says you have to show strength, you can't be weak when you're taking back America, we're going to march down there and we're going to voice our, our opposition to them putting these votes in or confirming these votes. To me, when you're talking to an already like loose cannon type crowd of people who already itching to do something, he had been telling them to stand by and stand back and stand by, or stand down, or whatever he had said at the debates. Well, they've been waiting. All right. So here we are, January 6th. He done whipped up these people into this kind of feverish pitch, and we're going to go down there and we're going to tell them. Okay. So after he did his speech, that large group of people did start this this march down the street to the Capitol. All right. And I'm assuming it was peaceful enough. They walked down there, and they walked all the way up to the Capitol stairs. And I believe once they realized that they weren't stopped at the Capitol stairs, they tried to go all the way up to the doors of the Capitol. And when you look at the videos that are circulating all over social media, it did not look like they had really any type of police or legal, any kind of lawful force that was stopping them from going inside. As a matter of fact, I saw a couple of videos where the police just basically pulled back the Capitol Police just basically pulled back the gates, or just pulled back. It really is nothing that could have stopped these people from really rushing those things. They weren't cemented in or anything. This is literally just like the parade gates that they put on the side to keep people from, you know, going out if you were watching a parade or something like that. They pulled those back. The people made it all the way up to the doors. Now, mind you, we still have our government, the people that are responsible for running this country. They're all in there debating or talking about confirming these votes, including Mike Pence, who is the vice president of, you know, the United States. So these people have made it all the way up to the doors. And the next thing you know, they have made themselves comfortable by walking in, breaking windows, breaking down doors, and going into the Capitol. Now, who in their right mind would ever think that it would be this easy for a group of people who were very obviously the opposition at that point, okay, to come in to the Capitol of the United States of America? You were able to just walk into this place, and the videos are so embarrassing, you guys. When you see the videos of the security, that when they were confronted with these people, I'm like, did the guy even have guns? Do they even have guns? Was what the question was, because them people just walked in and securities was just running, basically backing up, running from them, backing up. I get it. You got an angry mob coming towards you. You know, that ain't really something that you're trying to get yourself involved in. I understand that. But the fact that since election, YSAP has been, you know, loosely hinged. And we knew that as time goes on and as things failed, like, you know, the court cases of them trying to challenge the votes and, you know, all of these things. And then Georgia happened. And, you know, as things went on and you saw that it was getting worse and worse and he was getting more and more desperate, it seems like with it being January 6th, with this this vote happening that day, this confirmation hearing happening that day, why haven't we tried to ante up the security in the building? Okay. I would bet money that YSAP's administration had told those Capitol Police not to use any lethal force, because them people didn't meet any type of, nothing happened to them. Okay. Of course, we saw all over social media yesterday. Everybody was talking about, I mean, Black Lives Matter. You guys had rubber bullets. You had tear gas. You was shooting motherfuckers down dead in the streets. Okay. When they are actually fighting for a true cause, you've got these people that are just mad because they lost inside of the Capitol. Okay. And nothing is being done. We're not shooting them with nothing. It is unreal to actually see those videos of those people just going in there. And when I was watching the videos, I was just like, you have given them so much power. Okay. You have made them feel like they are so invincible. And at that point, they were invincible. They did have the power. They made it all the way into the Capitol and all the way to the floor where they were having the discussion about the Electoral College votes. Okay. When you see the videos of those people walking down those hallways, and then you see them go to the floor, and you see the people inside, you know, ducking down, and you see the men that have pulled their guns, and they all have them trained at the door to come into the, I mean, this is horrible. This is a sad, sad day in America, when just the average ass racist could just kind of walk into the you know, into the floor, walk into the room and go all the way down to where the vice president was just at. Okay. Sit on the table there. You know, they made it all through the building. It wasn't just that they were in that room. They went to the different senators' offices. They were in Nancy Pelosi's office. One of the guys took a piece of her mail, you know, left a note, you know, we'll never stop. And, you know, took pictures of them with their feet up on the desk and, you know, taking things out of the office. It's just, it was crazy. Okay. And we won't even get into the fact that people around the world, countries around the world, are watching as well. And you are showing the United States at its most weakest point. Okay. People been afraid to attack the United States because we're a superpower and we got all of these, you know, weapons and ammunition and all of this. But we can't stop a regular motherfucker from Kansas from coming in the damn place and wreaking havoc. They didn't even really have their guns out or nothing. Like, yes, I do know that there was a woman that was shot, killed. She was a Trump supporter. Yeah, I mean, she was shot and killed, you guys. But other than that, I think there were 3 other people that did die, not at the hands of any type of back and forth shooting or anything like that. There were other health issues that caused these people to die. Yeah, you guys, it was just a travesty. Like, I was watching it and then I just turned because I was just like, child, what is going on? What is wrong with y'all white folks out there that is just cutting the fool like this? Okay, I know it ain't all white people. All right, because if you was watching CNN, honey, all the white people on there, they was real mad. And, you know, CNN hates YSAP anyway. So this was just another situation where they could just really just go on and on about how horrible a person he was and the fact that he'll whip these people up into a frenzy and, you know, created this insurrection. I mean, he really did, you guys. He told them basically to go down there and make your voices heard. Okay, and they took that to the heart and did what he told them to do. All right, YSAP was nowhere to be found, though. He was not with them. He returned back to the West Wing, and they said that he was watching with glee, you know, the events that were unfolding, and I was not surprised with that. I mean, YSAP wants, you know, he needs to, you know, we already know that he has like this love for dictators. And he loves all of this type of turmoil. All right. The fact that he can control people enough to make them do these type of things for him. They said that his advisors and everybody was trying to tell him that he needed to tell these people that they had to go home. And for a long time, he would not do that. You know, I don't know what finally made him come out and say, but after some hours, okay, some hours of this going down where all of the senators and all the representatives, everybody that was in there in Congress had to go and shelter in place and hide away because at the time, you don't know what these people might do. All right. We don't know if they had bombs and, you know, or if they had guns or if they plan on setting the shit on fire or what. All right. So you got all these unknown people in there. Security is non-existent. You know, so after some hours of all of this going down, YSAP finally comes back out and says, okay, you know, we love you. You know, he's telling his followers, I love you. You know, you're good people. You know, we have to have peace. So everybody needs to go home. They didn't just immediately go home, but they did start to, you know, come out of the Capitol. They started to congregate outside. The mayor did finally put a curfew at 6 p.m. Said these people need to go home. They're going to start arresting people. And I saw it on the news. They pretty much did start to go away. There were still some people out there after 6 p.m. and they said they had around 70 arrests, which is very small. When you think about how many thousands of people were out there, you only arrested 70 people, and most of those were because that they were out after curfew. It was not the fact that they had been occupied the inside of the fucking Capitol. Okay, even when they had them people down on the floor, you know, I'm not sure if they arrested those folks or if they let them go or what, but And when they were talking about it on the news yesterday and talking about the fact that the police presence was slim to nothing, you know, they started talking about the branches and, you know, who's responsible. These are federal police and, you know, you can't have just regular DC police come in. They have to be asked, you know, so the federal police was not prepared. And by the time they had asked all these federal folks, you know, hundreds of federal police to come, I mean, it had already happened. All right. Finally, Nancy Pelosi and others had asked for the help of the National Guard, and then that was when they started to have them come out in their riot gear to try to round these people up and, you know, have them leave. So then we started seeing people leave. Like I said, there were people who stayed after dark, some arrests made, 70, which is ridiculous. They say that they will be releasing pictures of the people that were inside of the building starting today so that people can identify them and help them find these people so that they can charge them with trespassing and all of that. But, you know, really, these people are, to me, domestic terrorists. You have broken into this government building, and you have really threatened, you've frightened, and, you know, people inside who don't know what your motives is. No one really knows why you're even in there, other than the fact that YSAP lost, and you fucking crazy, you know? So really, these people need to be treated as domestic terrorists, homegrown, unhappy, and in there doing this is not a part of being patriotic and expressing yourself. When you go and deface a national building such as this, it's one thing to march. You would have been perfectly fine outside. These motherfuckers is jumping the damn walls and scaling the walls, and it's honestly just, you know, I was watching, I was just like, well, they really cutting the fuck up out there. But when it was over, it was over, you know. Congress was very upset that this had happened. And Nancy Pelosi made it a point to say that they will resume their meeting, that was stopped because these gangsters, these thugs had come in and stopped the process, that they were going to reconvene at 8 p.m. Okay, so they all did do that once the crowd was taken care of and everybody was removed out the building. They did get back together, and they did, sometime early this morning, they did confirm the votes for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Remember I was telling you about those 12 senators who said that they were going to go against and object? Well, a few of them, after the events of the day, said in good conscience they could not still hold up that objection. One of them was Kelly Loeffler, who was one of the senators here in Georgia who lost the race to Raphael Warnock. The others was Daines and Braun. I don't remember what their first names were, but they also did withdraw their objection. But wouldn't you know, after all of this shit that happened, after the fact that you were supporting YSAP, who keeps fanning the flames of falsities surrounding this election, after you might have got your ass shot and killed if it all went down for real on them down on that floor, after you had to go and shelter in place and hide out until they caught everybody or forced everybody out the building, after all of this, do you know they still objected to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris being confirmed in, you know? And again, the ones that really did hold their place in it, these people do have, hopes to further their career presidentially in the future. You know, and Ted Cruz still held up. I was just like looking like, you guys are just a trip. But what was the purpose? Because it still went through. You just wanted to go on record saying that you supported YSAP to the very, very end. And now, since you did that, you'll get those YSAP followers. Oh, it's just sickening, you guys. It is sickening. Now, what did they find with all of that chaos and dismay that went down? Well, they did find some bombs, pipe bombs, in different places. They found some weapons in different places, but for the most part, nothing else happened. And really, nobody really knows what exactly they wanted to achieve from this. I think they just wanted to make a splash, and the fact that they were able to have the power to go in there and, fuck up the schedule of the people for that day and everything. I mean, they had the power, and that's really frightening. That'll let you know how weak the United States has become, as YSAP has been y'all's president for the last 4 years. Of course, today, everybody is reeling from what happened. The news stations are all now discussing the fact that the 25th Amendment needs to be invoked, which is the amendment that says that if the president is not able to do their job, then the power is switched over to the vice president. They're also talking about impeaching him, which is, it's not realistic. I mean, he has a few more days, really less than 2 weeks left in office. And they can't hold impeachment hearings and doing all of this, but people are so pissed they want something to happen to him, and he really should be criminally charged for what he did yesterday. That could have turned out to be so much way worse than it already was. That somebody needs to pay for this, and somebody would be the leader who led that charge, which would be YSAP. You guys, I know that Pence is so over all of this and that he will be so glad when the shit is done. Of course, YSAP did throw him under the bus after the fact, when he finally did say yesterday that he was going to uphold the Constitution and do what he was put there to do and not go against it and, try to overturn any type of election results. Then, of course, YSAP had a lot to say about him on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter and Facebook have both put YSAP in jail. Twitter has put him in jail for 12 hours, so he probably is out unless he did not take down the tweets that they felt were inflammatory and was what caused all of this commotion yesterday. They put him on for 12 hours and Facebook put him on for 24 hours. Okay. And like I said, the stipulation for Twitter, at least, is for him to remove those last 3 tweets. If he doesn't, then he's going to stay in jail until he does so. I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm sure many of you guys are thinking to yourself, like, he been saying all kind of out of pocket and inflammatory shit for the last 4 years, really since he announced that he was going to be running for office. So why is it now all of a sudden you got, now that they done broke into the fucking Capitol, I guess it took all of that to happen before you guys decided to put a muzzle on YSAP. Child. He should be permanently banned from all social media, if you ask me. But we live in the United States and everybody talks about freedom of speech. And that's the reason why people get away with saying and doing the things that they say and do here in America, because we've got all these liberties. I mean, it wouldn't be America without it, but then, they've been used and abused. More and more we're starting to see. You guys, it was a crazy day yesterday, because on the one hand, we were floating high, as Democratic supporters with the victory in here in Georgia. But all of that got overshadowed because of the mess that was happening down in Washington, D.C. But you guys, really, it is par for the course, because these last 4 years have been the most chaotic. We have lived through so much in these last 4 years. We have so much to contribute to history when we talk to our children and our grandchildren, and, and we can actually tell them that we were here during the times of this, that, and the other. Like, we have so much to say because we lived it. We felt it. We have the stress to prove it. Okay. I'm so ready for this to be done, because it's just one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. But the thing I will tell you guys is, I hope you are strapped in for these next few days until we get to inauguration. Because at this point, YSAP doesn't even need the power of the presidency any longer. Okay. He has such a group of he has such a loyal group of supporters that even after he is out of power as YSAP, he can still get these people to do kind of really whatever he wants them to do. And you best believe that he will use that power. So I believe that we probably are going to have a few more incidents between now and the 20th where he can feel like he can kind of just disrupt and cause some sort of mayhem. And it probably will get worse. Nothing really happened yesterday. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, yes, there was a few deaths, but it could have been so much way worse. And I just feel like YSAP still wants to make a big splash. He wants to leave behind something. And they felt good with that, but I also feel like they were emboldened by that, and that they feel like now they can do something else. So, especially for my rock stars, like out there in DC where the block is super hot, but in surrounding areas, but really just kind of all over. People need to be aware that emotions are running high. People are not the most rational. You know, you put those things together and it could be a disaster. So I'm just telling all my rock stars everywhere to be super careful. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, you guys, we still heading face forward. January 20th, Biden did, you know, come out and give a speech about how yesterday was, you know, he said that it was the darkest hour of the United States. And you know, when people were talking about people taking over the Capitol and how it hadn't happened since 1812 or something like that, some war that was going on, it'll just let you know exactly how YSAP has used that office to just to create such division in this country, and has made it such an ugly place. It's nothing that can't be recovered, but Biden and Harris they have a lot of work to do when they have to adopt all of the ruin that YSAP has left behind them. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about the people, the people that they are going to be watching over, you know, so to speak. Just trying to get the emotions of folks where it's not a us against them kind of thing. I mean, it's just, it's bad. It's bad. And it's going to take a long time before, you know, these race relations, because that's when it all boils down to, these race relations, you know, start to soften and feel like people are coming back together again. But yeah, you guys, it was wild last night. Did you guys watch any of the shit that went down? I mean, I guess you didn't have no choice, but it was everywhere. They had took everything off of regular TV, and that's all they showed for the rest of the night. So you guys let me know what you think about it. To my rock stars that's up in that area, what's the temperature out there? You know, I did have one rock star that told me that they worked up in the courthouse up in that area, and you know, that they had evacuated and people were, you know, it was just all this commotion. And I don't know, you guys, I just feel so sorry for our country right now. I feel so sorry for our country, because even though the country has been bad for black folks, even though this country hasn't been the fairest to my people, this is my country. This is where I live, and I deserve to be here. And I want my country to thrive, and I don't want my country to be seen in this way. I want my country to not look like this. So it's really, really sad, and we'll see where it goes from here. But you guys let me know what you guys thought about all of that bullshit. This some bullshit, Raldo. Y'all tell me about how you felt about all that bullshit that went down in DC yesterday.